Okay, should be get ready a notification just a minute there.
Okay.
Okay, hits get everything set up here and just let me know. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's Dr. Earl live with Arknolia, Strokelbean, and tonight we're going to pay homage and have a couple of discussions about one of the biggest sci-fi franchises next to both Star Wars and Star Trek. And I'm speaking of one of the biggest Time Lords out there on the face of the earth, the one who protects the earth and its people. We are talking about Doctor Who. And of
Round
course,
of applause.
yep, Doctor Who, one of the biggest things in one of the biggest pop culture phenomena emerged from England a year before the Beatles would. Started in 1963 on the BBC television network and has been continuing on ever since then. Even though it was canceled in 1999 for a couple of years, it would reemerge on the same network on in 2005, when I guess it was Christopher Alexison, if I'm pronouncing his last name right.
I think
As
so.
yes,
He was the ninth Doctor.
yeah,
Christopher, I think it's Eccleston.
Eccleston. Okay, there, we got
I don't
that
know. It's
there.
one of those.
Yeah, I know.
Got the hard name out of the way.
I know that's so, but we know the previous doctors. We know that like Peter Capaldi, Matt Smith, David Tennant. And we also know the originators like the first one, William Hartnell, who I guess died in a couple years later after him passing the torch to the second Doctor, Patrick
Patrick Troughton.
Trotten. Then later, of course, John Pertwee, and then, of course, the one we know mostly about, the longest of them all, Tom Baker. Then Peter Davidson, and then Colin Baker, and then, of course, later on, I guess it was also Sylvester
So,
McCoy as well. And it,
right.
and of course, the in betweens we had like John Hurt as the War Doctor during the period known as the Time War, which he was fighting fighting a vicious battle with the Daleks, a bunch of mutants
Right.
inside of these. They look like trash. They look like trash cans from the outside, but basically they could have destroyed a lot of things.
Yeah. Actually, to me, they resembled salt and pepper shakers
Yeah, I
with little
know.
arms.
Which, by the way, is it was kind of ironic. I would not be surprised if they did make salt and paper shakers and over there in England as well. Now,
Yeah, we should have had them over here.
I know, but well, here in the states, Doctor Who is basically a cult phenomenon here in the states because you can go to Hot Topic, you can find merchandise let's see we had a shower curtain of the TARDIS, the Doctor's spaceship there,
Right.
which resembles a police box, which was widely used around the 1960s in England there. And the story behind that was that the TARDIS, which means time and relative dimension in space, is a time machine that's able to go to the future, go back in time, go to different worlds here, there, just about go any place they want. Now, the problem with why it resembles a police box after so many years is that somehow, someway, and this was during the first Doctor period, the chameleon circuit got screwed up, and then various versions of the Doctor were trying to countlessly to repair that mistake, but they decided at the end, screw it, let's just leave it as it is.
Because it
And
could kind of go into hiding with it.
yeah, exactly. And what it is, the chameleon circuit that it is, it's a little circuit that's able to transform the TARDIS into any kind of area of whichever area that it lands in. Like if it lands near a cornfield or a barn, it can transform itself into a bale of hay or a horse wagon or something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
or basically one of those tractors that the farmers use. It could transform into that. Somehow,
Yeah.
somewhere, as we mentioned, the that particular circuit got broken, and for lifelong it remains a police box.
Yeah. You left off at Sylvester McCoy?
Yes, no, I did mention him. Yes,
Okay, and then there was Paul McGann.
Paul McGann. Yes, and I think he was in a couple of movies, what I understand as well. He
Yeah.
was the Eighth
Then
Doctor.
and then there was Christopher Eccleston.
Yep, and then David Tennant, and then later on Matt Smith, and then Peter Capaldi, and the current Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, the first female Doctor of the whole series. Now, let me explain a little something here for those not in the know. The, he hails from the planet Gallifrey, and one of the neat things about being on that planet and coming from that planet is that you're able to regenerate your body if you are critically injured. You
Right.
just don't die. You could die, but it's very seldom that we see a Time Lord die. You know, the Doctor is about centuries old. I guess there's the Doctor, the Lord President, the Rani, the Master, who remains the arch nemesis of the Doctor.
Right.
Yes,
And you had the Master, but I think the Master's gone.
the Master. Well, the Master did kind of came back with during the current season. I guess it's played some sort of actor whose name escapes me. And from what I understand, I guess
I
he's kind
think it
of
was actually two or three guys that played the Master.
the Master. Well, Roger Del Engel, I think I pronounced his last name right, hopefully. He was one of the main ones. There was also Michelle Gomez, who played a female version of the Master, known as Missy, who's now currently starring in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix there. In fact, David Tennant, by the way, the 10th Doctor, he's also appearing on a streaming channel. He's appearing on a program called Dead Water Fell, which is, I guess it's on the Acorn TV, I understand, which is a British streaming channel for all I understand there, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Call Dave Rose. He's here.
Oh, he is? Okay. Okay, I'll do that right now. Let's, because what I understand from Joe Cronin that Doctor Who is one of his favorite shows there. You know, Doctor Who is back in, let me try this again, some bitch.
Well, my first exposure to Doctor Who was on our local PBS channel.
Okay.
And the first one I saw was Tom Baker, of course, because that was the big one.
Same one with here, because, as I mentioned yesterday, there was this small channel, independent channel that was back in Detroit. They would show episodes featuring the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, of course,
Right.
talking. And I was trying to figure out what's this series about? What's that police box? What is this guy? Why is he where? Is he an actual doctor who somehow ends up in these different worlds? And at
Well,
the
his
time,
remark, he was in a doctor's office,
yeah.
and he told the doctor, he said, "You're a doctor.
Okay.
I'm
Okay. I am the doctor. You're helped exactly. And I didn't have time to really figure out the whole story because at that time I had to head out to my job at that time at the
Oh, yeah.
restaurant. Yes. And we got one of the biggest Doctor Who fans right here, Dave Rose. What's up, bud?
Well, I would say I was a Doctor Who fan, but
I'm
the
guessing
doc-
until
the-
13th."
the Doctor died on Trenzalore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The Peter Capaldi incarnation, unfortunately, in my perspective and understanding, is probably just the dying dreams of a Time Lord.
Ah. So, and of course, Dave Rose, meaning, of course, he's not a big fan of the Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor, I guess.
She is
Storyline.
probably the worst thing that ever happened to television.
You know what? Actually,
I haven't seen her at all.
I only
I haven't
saw a
seen
couple
that.
episodes myself, but I will say one thing about the way the cinematography. It's like actually made like an actual movie or an action flick or something like that. And that was the first episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. But a lot of lately, Doctor Who has been in a critical mess because the showrunner Chris Chernobyl, and a lot of people are complaining about the fact that they're having issues accepting a female Doctor along with the.
That's not it.
No,
That's
it's
not it.
The story.
No, I'm just saying that that's not the issue that Doctor Who fans have.
The storyline.
That's the excuses that they're just trying to make. they ruined a perfectly good series. And you could see it with the imposition of this agenda-driven content, and the stories became more and more deprecating on men and the doctor, and it was always, the female that was solving things.
Yep.
And then on top of that, they decide, oh well, let's change. They made the master female.
Yep.
Um,
For a while.
they-
Yeah.
there was I can't remember who it was. I think they were played by Timothy Dalton at one point, but
Yeah,
they turned
the
that
Lord
character
President.
into a female.
Yeah.
Then
Raslin, the
they
Lord
turned
President.
Yeah, they turned the doctor into a female. Not even just a female that you can enjoy watching. A very detestable, just hateful individual. Not just as the character, but the person she is in real life.
Yes.
The way that she has spoken about Illy in regards to either previous Doctor Who content, the fans, or how it should be manipulated to push, again, some sort of agenda of diversity and equality and all this, cultural Marxist garbage, totally ruined the show. And you can see that in the past, when ratings would go down, they would adjust the show's writers and the content accordingly to try to keep that audience. Basically, from, I would say, halfway through Capaldi's first season, they just threw that out the window and said, we don't give a fuck anymore. We're just going to do what we want to do, screw the fans, and we're just going to push this down people's throats. And we've seen the results through the viewership.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to bring on my nephew on for this discussion here, but he had to leave. Of course, I was telling Arknolia. He had to leave. He had to go back to his place with his lady love there. But I wanted to contact him, to get his discussion, as I mentioned, to get his take on the current Doctor Who situations there, because he did complain about some of the storylines not being up to par with the previous storylines there,
Yeah.
They threw out canon. They threw out rules. They just said, let's just trample over everything just so that we can make it fit our version of what we think people should watch.
Yeah. And they did the same thing with, of course, Last Jedi, and I guess there was some issues with the last two Avengers movie with this that they tried to do the same,
So, Arknolia, I missed the first 5 minutes of the show, but what's your experience with Doctor Who?
I've seen a lot of them. In fact, I went back and I've seen some of the very early ones. The William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton. I've seen a lot of them. My first exposure was Tom Baker.
Same here.
I just went with it after that. That was good.
He's my doctor. And
Tom Baker's number one for me.
Oh, yeah. That was the one, as we mentioned, that's the one that I first approached.
Although Tennant's a close two. David Tennant's a close two. I like him.
Yeah.
I prefer Christopher Eccleston over him.
Wow.
I like him too.
Yeah, he's a good
To me,
one.
the Doctor is arrogant, pompous, insulting, but he still does it from a point of love, caring, and appreciation. And I think that's what a Time Lord would be, especially when you're choosing a human to be a companion. You know that, like, compared to you, they literally are an ant. Now, you're giving them an opportunity of a lifetime to go with a Time Lord across space and time. But you can't expect, a Time Lord to have, unlimited patience for literally a creature that cannot even comprehend, 1% of what he understands.
Right.
So I think it's fine. Like an alien, like, again, it could be a gray alien, whatever. Somebody that's not human comes down to Earth and says, "Okay, human, you are literally below me. I can literally cross space and time, and you guys can't even fix your environment. Why don't you come with me, and we can go on an adventure and stuff."
Right.
Of course,
and they're saying, "I need your perspective." That's kind of what Doctor Who's saying. I need to know what you think in your perspective, so I know which way to go after I make my decision.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Is that the doctor doesn't necessarily like he may be dismissive and insulting to people, but he doesn't necessarily dismiss their ideas. He keeps them in mind, and he remembers them, and he'll bring them back later, and utilize them potentially.
Right. Some of the doctors were good with humans. Some of them were very insulting with humans. The one that comes to mind is, I haven't seen Jodie Whittaker, so I'm not going to comment on her, is Colin Baker. That guy wearing the orange suit or whatever outlandish suit he was.
Yeah, that outlandish jacket, circus jacket.
Although if you watch him, he was pompous.
Yeah.
He was not good.
Yeah. I think he was
And
the one.
then,
I think that
Sylvester McCoy was kind of the same way.
Yeah. Well, of course,
But that's, again, to me, that just it seems logical that would be what the doctor would be. I don't expect the doctor to be patient with a human.
Well, Baker kind of was, and actually so was Pertwee.
But we see that difference, how it changes, and I like that.
Right.
I like how it.
Right.
I mean, it depends on the situation, and again, like for example, when the doctor got sort of exiled to Earth, he had to adapt accordingly and such, and
mostly the Pertwee.
It was
episode,
Pertwee.
Yeah, it's mostly the Pertwee.
Yeah.
And he was driving around in a car. He couldn't use his TARDIS.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
So,
I remember that.
TARDIS was kind of in a room somewhere that he'd go look at it once in a while. But he rode around in that car everywhere he went.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in that one episode.
And he wasn't that mean. He wasn't that mean with his companions, but he had a short fuse and was again dismissive as well. But think of it this way: you're a Time Lord that can literally cross again space and time, and you're now exiled to a little planet with limited technology and surrounded by literal savages.
Yeah, and to you idiots, to him they were all idiots, but
Yeah.
So again, I mean, I like that aspect of the Doctor, that he's not necessarily always a nice guy.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever see any of the William Hartnell episodes? The first Doctor.
Not all of them, no. But like you said, going back, I love going back and watching old shows like that. And
right.
I couldn't care less about what people say, oh, well, the technology doesn't look good, this and that. First of all, we use our imaginations back in the day. We don't need CGI and stuff to feel compelled by the story. Because, again, the big thing was the writing. Yeah, they had to deal with really limited budgets, but the writing itself was what was so compelling that people came back and watched it because they said, I don't care how flimsy the fucking monsters look. I'm here to fucking learn about this amazing story and who this Doctor is.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what led me into the whole concept because, as I mentioned, I didn't really get a chance to check out all the episodes to find out what it is because I had to go for the work at that time. So, but I always kept that in mind, this Doctor Who individual until when I moved to Texas to be with my sister, brother-in-law, and nephew. My nephew was explaining, the whole concepts to me, with the dialects, the different doctors, and we got BBC America here in the States here now, so we're able to check out some of the marathons and other programs featuring the various doctors. And in fact, my nephew last night texted me, say, look, download Pluto TV on your TV there. They have a lot of episodes featuring almost all the doctors. And the ones I've been wanting to check out are the ones with Pertwee and Hartnell as well. Especially, and there's also something else we got to throw in. Peter Cushing, the man we all know started those 60s horror movies with Christopher Lee and Vincent Price. He played the Doctor for a couple of movies, one of them being Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Yeah. And the only guy that's going to be kind of tough to find is, I think it's Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
A lot of his episodes were lost.
Yeah, I know.
The only thing you can find now is audios with stills.
Yeah. You know what they're doing right now? It's the same thing they did with that Ashada episode. They mix in some of the live footage they have along with some computer animation that they're working on as well. And I think they're going to be probably doing that with the Second Doctor's episodes as well.
Yeah, because I think he's the only one that they lost episodes on.
Yeah, I know there was
Oddly,
some
they
with,
didn't lose the first one, but
Well, hold on to hope, because you never know what stuff will be retrieved.
Yeah, that's true.
that's true.
That's true as well. Yeah, it's kind of I remember seeing that Ashada episode. Now I guess it's on the on DVD right now, along with some of the others, including Tennant, Smith, and you also got to give acknowledgement to some of the other work that Tennant and Smith have done as well. Smith, is of course, went on to be a part of the one of the Terminator movies. He made an appearance in that as one of the Terminators. He also
He was the Terminator 5000. He
Yeah.
was essentially Skynet embodied, able to create the T3000, which is what he infected John Connor with.
yes.
And that was the Terminator Genesis movie.
Yes, I remember that scene as well. And plus, there was a talk that Smith was going to be a part of Episode 9 of Star Wars, but I don't think that really worked out.
He was, but those scenes were cut. Now,
I know, yeah.
Disney is pulling back from their idiotic SJW campaign, realizing that they will go broke if they go woke. So
Agreed.
they are pulling that back, and there's a good chance that, just like the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, we may in fact see a recut Spielberg
Lucas
version,
Yeah,
Lucas version
yeah.
of the series. So,
The Skywalker saga.
and
there.
we may see Matt Smith in that.
Yeah, it's
But
good.
I wasn't a fan of Matt Smith. Too jovial, too jokey,
Mhm.
not unkind enough to his companions. Again, I still think that the Doctor requires that arrogance and that dismissive attitude towards his companions. He doesn't mean it necessarily, but it's understandable considering he's a fucking Time Lord.
Yes.
Now, David Tennant, I liked his approach better.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence about the regeneration that just used the same form as before. But okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
But his role as the Doctor, I liked much more than Matt Smith's.
Yes.
Yeah, Tennant was good. The thing I liked about Baker was what you were saying before. He was aloof and arrogant, but not to the point where he was insulting.
Yeah.
He still was kind of condescending to his.
That's the word I'm looking for. That the
Companions.
condescending would probably be a better word for the way that he treated. Because again, it wasn't out of necessarily maliciousness, but it's understandable that it's a Time Lord.
Right.
Yeah.
He's better than them. I mean, he doesn't have to act it, but he's still condescending.
Yeah.
But sympathetic.
He could prove it. He could
Yeah.
prove his condescending.
And he was what he was. So out of the villains, there were a ton of them.
Oh yeah, the Cybermen whose goal was to make everybody cyber like they were. The Daleks who was inspired by the Nazis. We are the supreme race. You will serve us. Of course, the Master, who was, I guess the evil twin version of the Doctor, jokingly you would say. He had his.
He was
agendas.
mainly.
Yeah.
I think he was mainly through the Baker episodes, but he showed up in some of the others too.
Oh, yeah, along with with Davidson, of course with Pertwee as well, and of course he appeared a lot with David Tennant, Capaldi, and of course with Whittaker as well. And of course he went through many incarnations and many changes himself to boot. And unlike the Doctor, he had a perfectly working TARDIS with a better chameleon circuit. So we don't really know what kind of TARDIS he used, or he or she.
Yeah, it was definitely different.
Yeah. And also, we also got to mention, as I mentioned, Michelle Gomez, who played Missy, the female version of the Master.
The Master. Yep.
Yes, she was. She's right now appearing in the Netflix series, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. You know, of course, Capaldi, by the way, years before had a role in the movie The Lair of the White Worm. You may remember that movie back in the 80s. And he also played George Harrison in a made-for-TV movie called John and Yoko, A Love Story back in the 80s as well. I remember seeing that.
I hadn't seen that, and I'm going to put it on the list.
Yeah, I think so. It may be on YouTube, the whole movie, or some of the scenes there. I remember YouTube had a list of some of the appearances he played on there prior to playing the Doctor. And also he appeared as some sort of a Roman individual in the city of Pompeii with the 10th Doctor as well. In fact, Tennant saving Capaldi from that volcanic fate in that one episode will later eventually lead to Doctor adapting his face.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm not sure if I agree with the reason why to take the face, because to my understanding, it was that he wanted to remember the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's why he chose that face to reincarnate as.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I accept that.
Yeah.
I love Capaldi as an actor. I do.
Yeah, he
The
is.
guy's fucking great.
And he's a guitar.
But do I accept that reason as to why the Doctor would do that? It's questionable.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie The Five Doctors?
Yes. I like that movie, actually.
I'd
It's
like
actually
I'd like to
really
check
good.
that out. I'd like to check
Look
that
it up.
out
It's
as well.
good. It's worth it.
I first of all, I love time travel and time travel paradoxes. And that's the great thing about Doctor Who, is that you do get into these situations where crossing timelines and stuff can have repercussions in the future and even in the past. And in the past, the writers seemed much more knowledgeable about that than they are today. It's just like, it's very much like Star Trek, where nowadays you have people that aren't fans. They're just writing to write. So they have no interest in going back and watching every single episode, making notes and figuring out, oh, if I make this writing decision, it'll be in violation of canon that has been existing for the last 30 years. So maybe I should just be more creative and figure out a way to write a story that doesn't just tromp on all that was established in the past that actually built this fan base to what it is today.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing that's good about Star Trek, is you had the original series.
Yes.
The Next Generation actually
The animated series
fell in
as well.
line. Yeah, the animated series.
Yes.
Everything fell in line. Deep Space Nine fell in line.
Yep.
Enterprise kind of went back and established the pattern for everything falling in line.
Well,
And then they
Doctor,
fell off the Earth.
well, Doctor Who also had their spin-offs as well. As they had these Sarah Jane Chronicles, focusing on Sarah Jane Smith, who was mostly the companion for the Fourth Doctor. They also had K9 Chronicles, I guess, and they also had a show called Class, I guess, where, if I understand, were they disciples of Gallifrey, I guess, to take the Doctor's place? And correct me if I'm wrong on this one, because I only heard about this. I didn't see any.
I haven't
show
seen
about-
any of them.
Yet about. And plus, we cannot forget the show Torchwood, which focuses on one of the Doctor during the one of the characters during the 10th Doctor season, Captain Jack Harkness, played by an actor named John Barrowman, who was supposed to, I guess, be gay or bisexual, for I understand. He had a series of his own called
That's
Torchwood.
when it started.
Yep.
That's when the agenda started.
Yes. And I guess Pearlie Mackie, who played Billy, one of the other 12th Doctor companions, I understand she's supposed to be a lesbian, for I understand as well.
Who?
Pearlie Mackie, the actress who played Billy, the little black lady with the afro there, who was alongside the 12th Doctor.
I think so.
Yeah, she's. I understand she's supposed to be a lesbian. She portrayed one on the series there during Capaldi's time on that series.
Yeah, but we already saw that. Like I said, we started to see this intensely in the middle of the first season of Capaldi, but we were already seeing a push from this prior to that.
Yes.
And I would say maybe at Matt Smith we started to see the initial pushes. Actually, no, with David Tennant we started to see a little bit, and then Matt Smith, and then we're seeing the typical agenda, which is, males are stupid, especially white males, but clearly in 900 AD there was black women that were living in England, and they were royalty. Again, total fantasy. When again 10 years prior, 5 years prior, Doctor Who was doing things that were still based in, relative fact.
Yes. And one of the things that was really brought up a lot was this black female doctor in one of the episodes along with Whittaker, and a lot of people are questioning about her. Was she a prior to a William Hartnell? And
I heard that, and it's an insult. It honestly is an insult to anybody that's watched Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though. Why is it that up to this point, before Whittaker, you had female fans of Doctor Who? Surely it wasn't because of the Doctor, because they found a compelling character and they wanted to watch it.
Yes, and we
surely
have
it
a
wasn't
few
the
out there.
gender.
Yes, of course.
Probably 80% of the companions were female.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, our favorites.
And they were never at some points they had to be rescued and stuff, but other points they were rescuing the Doctor. They were showing ingenuity, and this we're talking all the way back to probably the original Doctor. There was times where the companions were able to help the Doctor out, or more importantly, like you said, where they gave him a different perspective, and him knowing that he's a Time Lord, he sees these supposed primitive creatures and realizes, hey, they might actually have more insight that I might realize.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of well-recognized companions of the Doctors. The most gorgeous being Jenna Coleman, who played it. God damn it, what's her fucking name? It just slipped my fucking mind.
Kara?
No, Clara Oswald. Yes.
No, I'm sorry, but Billie Piper is the greatest looking companion
she's hot.
ever.
She's hot as well. She's hot as well, definitely. And of course, we got to give it up to Karen
Sarah
Gillian.
Jane Smith.
Yes, and also Karen Gillian, who played it Amy Pod, who also starred in the Jumanji remake, or actually reboot with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson not too long ago. And we got what's that other lady companion? The one who played Ace with the Seventh Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. I don't know the lady's name who portrayed her.
Oh, okay, I remember. Yeah, I remember Ace.
Yes, and of course we cannot forget. Let's see, so many. It's hard to count which is which. There was this
Ramona.
Oh yeah, Ramona as well. It's also the lady who played Leela. I guess her name was pronounced. The jungle lady there
Leela
with
Wood,
the Yes, I guess she passed
Ward.
on. Yes, she passed on too, along with the lady who played Sarah Jane there. I guess it was cancer who took her out. And of course, I don't really know much about the companions of the current Doctors, because she has 3 of them: white gentleman, a black man, and a Muslim lady, for I understand. And
oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, I never really get. Remember, I haven't been paying too much attention to the names of the actors, as of late.
Well, do you remember the Brigadier?
The Brigadier, yes, I did. He was mostly involved with the third and fourth Doctor. Yes.
Yeah.
John Pertwee.
Oh, and I've actually got a sneak preview of the next Doctor. Now, it's too bad that you don't have OBS installed on your computer there, Dr. Earl, because Well, are you using it right now?
Yes, I am. That's why I'm using the
Oh,
broadcast.
I see. Well,
Yes.
then maybe you can show this if you choose to show it.
Yeah,
But
definitely put it in the
this,
Skype chat.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
putting it in the Skype chat right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But according to my sources at the BBC, this is going to be the next Doctor.
All right. Definitely lay it on us. I got it right here. What the? Oh my goodness gracious.
It is a transgender, disabled, Muslim, transsexual woman.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. I gotta get this out there. I gotta definitely upload this, man.
And we are right to ridicule Doctor Who in its current state.
Yeah.
It was perfect, and then they destroyed it. I mean,
know.
they had a working equation, and in fact, they still have a working equation because they still do radio shows, right? They
Yes.
still do these radio
Audio
yes,
dramas.
I
drama.
understand it. Yeah.
Yes, audio
I
dramas.
love that stuff personally. Love that stuff. And they still make these things, and I think that's great. Works well if you just want a podcast or something different to listen to. So again, you've got all these different doctors that are still sort of existing, and they still have a lot of stories that haven't been told.
Right.
Right.
So they could, and they do write stories that don't interfere with canon and so forth. So they can do these sorts of things, continue to put out these radio shows, and you know that at least the writers there are paying more attention to the canon to make sure that there aren't any conflicts. But when it comes to the TV stuff, it's very clear that those that are running the BBC really couldn't care less. This is more now about agenda and trying to push things that are clearly totally false.
Yep, and what you see on the screen, folks, is what David is talking about here. And this is how far it's going to go if this keeps up there, folks. Yeah. So,
Man.
yeah. And so,
You're a little delayed there, by the way. You're probably a minute
Yeah.
delayed from what I'm seeing
Yeah.
so far.
yeah, it does that. It's about a 7 or 8 second delay.
Are
usually
you on a
at time.
laptop?
Yes, I am.
And is the laptop connected wirelessly?
It's connected to the Wi-Fi that we have.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
connected wirelessly to your network. Now,
Yeah.
the problem with that is that that's half the speed that you could get if you wired it directly. Now,
Yeah.
unless you've got a house that was pre-prepared for wiring, then you'd have to string wires through the house. That's obviously not as convenient, but also your location matters as well. And, appliances that it might be around you that might be interfering.
Yeah.
So you should keep that in consideration in regards to the speed that you're getting.
Yeah.
And any slowdowns that you get, because I've already seen that the video has buffered several times.
Yeah, miss.
it's still
I've been
playing.
having issues like that like crazy, man. So I'm gonna open up a new tab to see if by chance it should be coming up soon here.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm actually still waiting to see.
I
if,
don't know what's up with that, man. Remember, I don't have
It's-
but then again, I don't really have the best equipment myself, as we mentioned. So
It's
but
not.
then-
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's just understanding how the internet works. A lot of people have been brainwashed into thinking, "Oh, wireless. That's always going to work, and it's going to work just as fast as a wired connection."
yeah,
That's not the case.
yeah,
And when you've got other things running in the background, that can slow things down.
yeah, yeah. So it's gonna probably be a long while before it pops on your screen there, folks. And apologies if you're still waiting out there. But it's basically when it comes on the screen, you'll see what Dave is talking about in terms of how political agendas affect a perfectly good sci-fi program. And
Wow, this
So-
is like more than a few minutes delayed.
I know,
Unless you didn't transition it. Did you transition it?
yes, I did.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
trust you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Hell,
what
maybe it'll show up sometime.
I know, but either way, So,
Or maybe it's underneath the photo.
all right.
Oh, there we go. It finally popped up.
Yes, finally.
Wow. That was
Yeah.
like 4 minutes.
I know. I'm still waiting on this end. There it is. Now it's popped up on my end as well. This is what
Yeah.
Dave was talking about, folks.
And this is what we're looking at. This
Yeah.
is what we're gonna in the direction that things are going. If they keep being allowed to write stories that just pander. It's not even about like the story. It's just about, well, how many minorities can we include? How can we ridicule like white males and
How
the
PC
nuclear
we can get.
family and society and try to push our agenda.
How PC we can all get to we reach that point where we can't get that far no more.
I don't know even if this is PC. This is full out Marxist, critical theory. This
I
is
know.
pure communism.
I know it is. It's just and they've been doing the same thing with Star Wars as me and Arknolia. Actually, me and Jubug were talking about it a couple weeks back. It's when you include that kind of bullshit onto a well-known franchise, it destroys it. And I think we all
Yeah.
agree that we're sick and tired of these franchises, whether it's Doctor Who, Star Trek, or Star Wars, being destroyed by these stupid political agendas.
Well, look at what happened with Doctor Who, for example. So you've got basically there was a huge break between Sylvester McCoy and Paul McGann.
Yes.
Okay, and unfortunately, he did only one episode in his run, but he did 2 episodes on video. Obviously, I think it was Day of the Doctor that he popped up in.
Yes.
But I mean, he was picked because of his acting prowess, and he went on to not only do other great productions and stuff, but he also is one of the people that are involved in doing these radio dramas,
Yes.
acting as Doctor Who, which have gone on for years. So again, like I said, there is that opportunity that you still have saved portions of the timeline of the canon and stuff that can continue going on with, for example, Paul McGann, without being affected by the bullshit that has come recently.
Yes. We also got to give props to John Hurt, the late great John Hurt, for his portrayal as the War Doctor. As you know,
I like that.
yes, the War. That's one of the doctors that really gets mentioned a lot. But he's up there. He's up there on the previous thumbnail I used before because he was involved during the time war against the Daleks. And I guess what I understand, he did a lot of hideous shit that apparently when he regenerated into David Tennant, he probably looks back on with pure regret. Because I guess... No, go ahead.
No, but it was, first of all, it was Paul McCann,
Yes.
and he transformed or regenerated into
John Hurt.
Hurt.
Yes.
And then Hurt transformed into Christopher Eccleston.
Yes. All
But you
right.
said David Tennant, so I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
trying to clarify.
Yeah, because I was always talking. My apologies. But it was Tennant and Smith who had a kind of disdainful resentment towards him because some of the actions.
Yeah, they
taken.
made that clear. Yeah, Eccleston didn't really talk about that,
Yes.
but obviously, it wasn't at that point. It wasn't established, so that's why. But,
And the Capote.
it is. I do appreciate that where they do recognize a previous incarnation of themselves and view it with disdain.
Yeah.
But I also side with the War Doctor because he got to the point where we're just like, again, you're a Time Lord and you're able to outlive almost everybody, and you constantly are seeing this war. Your people aren't doing anything to
protect themselves.
Well, they are protecting themselves, but they're not being proactive and stuff. And when they do, it's just a constant war and stuff. And this guy just lost it. He's like, fuck it. Forget everything. Let's just activate Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
And, I like that. I like that
Yeah.
sort of, because, again, you can see that with Paul McGann when he
Yeah.
does regenerate, because he's at a point where he tried to save somebody and they refused because he was a Time Lord, and he's like, well, what am I then? Like, all these people that I tried to save, no matter if they're human or whatever, I'm trying to save them during this time war, and they reject me and they see me as a villain. Like, am I a villain? Are we villains? Are Time Lords villains?
Yeah.
And like that just breaks him. And he just basically is like, okay, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, I can't remember what they were called in the cave there. The I guess they were witches,
Yeah.
Time Lord witches. But they basically said, yeah, take this potion and you can die and become reborn. And
Yep. He
boom,
went.
and he
Yep.
becomes War Doctor, and that's when he goes out for fucking revenge.
Yep. Doctor no more. Basically there. And of course, I also Capaldi even mentioned
Oh,
about that.
and he regenerated. I just got to say, and the regenerated version of John Hurt was a young one. And by the time you see him, he's really old. That means that he had been, like, after he turned into the War Doctor, he had clearly been fighting for a long time.
Yep. So then it's been a lot, I guess, longer than the Vietnam War or the second Gulf War that we had. I guess also longer than the Civil. What was it? How many years?
Dude, they age. Time Lords age very, very slowly. Look what happened at Trenzalore. So you've got Matt Smith, who's continually fighting these battles, and Arknolia. Do you remember how long passed before he finally, got to the point where, he regenerated again for the final time? Like, do you remember that?
No, I don't.
But he got really, really old. But that's the thing, though. They don't age normally. They age very, very slowly. So it could have been thousands of years. I don't know the exact amount. I'm sure somebody does.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really it wasn't aged at normal times. So you know that if John Hurt looks young in the video and eventually you see him again and he's really old, I mean, what? He died a few years after that. You know that in his timeline or wherever he was going, he had been fighting for a very long time.
Probably more than the 100 Years' War.
Probably.
Most likely, yeah.
I'm thinking thousands of years. I'm honestly thinking thousands of years, considering how long it takes for a Time Lord to age.
That
to
is
show
true.
visible age.
Yeah.
Which doctor was it that when they had the trial of Doctor Who?
I think it was with Colin Baker. Yeah.
I think so.
Yes, it was.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it was.
And another thing, just to mention to those that are listening, there are thousands of episodes of Doctor Who.
Yes, I believe. Yes, correct.
For us to be able to remember every single one is a challenge. So let's
Exactly.
let's relax here if you want to start criticizing about memory and stuff. Because again, a lot of this stuff is probably before most of us were even born.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys about this. There was a comic series that came out a couple years back with the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. It was what they call a crossover between him, his companions, and the crew from the Star Trek: The Next Generation. It was called a Resurgence, I think it was. It was a comic book.
I saw
form.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, it was.
I didn't
guess,
read it, but I saw it.
Yeah, so I only saw clips of it on the Google Images there, and I guess what I understand, the Borg and the Cybermen had formed alliance there to make everything cyber like they are. As I mentioned, I guess it was up to the Starship Enterprise and the Doctor and his companions to prevent that. There.
Yeah, the Borg and Cybermen is a logical combination.
Yeah,
It is.
Yes, and of course, I remember seeing photos on the Facebook here of the Smith's Doctor, with his sonic screwdriver, going to taking on Darth Vader. So, I wonder if we're going to probably see a Doctor Who and Star Wars crossover pretty soon there.
That makes you wonder.
Yeah, I wonder. I got so many.
I know the sonic screwdriver showed up on the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton.
Yes.
I don't know for sure if it showed up in the Hartnell years or not. I don't know for sure.
I know Tom Baker used it a couple of times there, for all I remember.
Oh, he had, yeah.
Yes, but the one that
That's
was
the thing, though, is that I like it that when the Doctor just uses his mind, and he doesn't necessarily need to use a MacGuffin to get out of something.
Wow. I think I still got, yeah, I got mine right here. That I brought along. You remember I was telling Joe Cronin about this.
What
So
your
when,
sonic?
but yeah, the sonic screwdriver my nephew gave me to use at the recent Renaissance fair. I figure since the doctor is a time traveler, I figure I come along with
I love that. I love that idea.
yeah,
I
and I did.
love that idea of just showing up at a Renaissance fair and fucking, looking like Doctor Who.
There you
Hey, I'm
go.
the doctor.
And you hear it right now, guys.
Yeah.
I had to I asked a couple of people up there participating to take a picture of me with them, because one of them showed me his sonic screwdriver tattoo. So I figured, what, let's get a photo with these guys. I have one of them take the picture, and I uploaded it on my Facebook there. I even showed a couple to it. You know what? I should probably get that. I have it on my downloads there. Should probably put it on my screen there. I'll do that right now. Yeah.
Now, what's very cool is that there is a lot of science that is based in Doctor Who. However, it always seems to be that science fact comes after science fiction. So
yeah, the same concept with Star Trek and Star Wars.
Exactly.
They do things, and then suddenly science develops them because they saw it in those. Because somebody with an imagination.
Well, I would say it's inevitable anyways. That is the inevitable conclusion of technology. So I'm of the mind that if you've got a big enough budget and you're keeping it quiet, you could probably develop this in private. But, we often do see that these things do follow what's portrayed in the media.
Well, the one I'm waiting for is when they have a building the size of the TARDIS, but when you open the door and go in, it's a full-fledged room.
Well, that's what I'm going for, is that science does indicate that technically is possible, that you can have dimensions that alternate in spatial, vicinity or volume. And the whole concept of bigger on the inside is not physically impossible. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Right.
if you can somehow harness a technology that can do that, yes, it is possible. But in theory, it works. So, and again, in theory, we can fucking create a integrated circuit. Well, guess what? We've already created an integrated circuit. We've been using them for 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, again, our only limitations are imagination. And even if it's not possible or feasible right now, doesn't mean it's not going to be feasible tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, you see some of the things in those shows and you go, how's that even possible? Well, in some cases, it became possible.
But it's like I say, it's the inevitable conclusion. It's like, of course, they would develop handheld sensors that could detect, the location on a planet and, distance between certain areas and stuff. And we've got that. And they start to become integrated. At first you've got a cell phone and then like a compass or fucking GPS. And then eventually they all start to become more integrated.
Soon they'll track you everywhere. Well, they do now.
Yeah. Just like these cameras on by these street lights at certain sections, the intersections there.
Well, Doctor Who definitely knows about that because Britain and London is one of the areas that is most covered by CCTV cameras. So
yeah.
I guess it's very hard now for Doctor Who to go around, unnoticed, especially since he's using a telephone box that hasn't been used in probably 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to hide that one.
I know, and it's kind of funny is that here's a little story about it. I guess the Metropolitan Police, who came up with that concept originally, they tried to sue the BBC, but apparently, but they somehow didn't get no copyrights it made for that particular product. So now the TARDIS is now belongs to the BBC there.
That's hilarious. But no, these were all over London, and they were used a lot
Yeah.
when if somebody had an emergency, they would open one of those doors and they would use the phone to call
Yeah.
the local
Emergency.
police. And
Yes.
yeah,
It was the original 911 phone system back then.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
think
they
it's
used to
I
have
think
some.
go ahead.
They used to have something similar to that on a lot of the freeways here in America, where there were phones on the side of the road. I doubt they still do that now, but I can remember going down the road and there'd be a phone there. Then
Yep.
you go about 5 miles down, there's another one on the side of the road just in case.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised some of the pay phones in Texas still work, believe it or not.
Yeah,
Now,
now,
gentlemen,
now
is it possible that we might now see a call to the BBC to defund the police box and remove that? Because after all, isn't that a statement of oppressive history?
Oh my gosh.
Because they
But
sure
then,
sure as hell have changed enough with Doctor Who to sort of represent those views. I mean, why stop there? Might as well go to defund the police box.
yeah, but then again, you got thousands of Hoovinians in England there that's going to really raise a ruckus. So there's going to be a civil war going on if that should come down.
The English aren't fighting for anything.
Yeah.
They're
no,
letting
the English
country burn.
are docile people.
All right. All
Yep.
right. So that image should be coming up pretty soon, hopefully about 4 minutes. The same thing with this image here. That's the one that's coming up right now on the screen. There will be the one that was taken at the
There we go. It
Renaissance
finally
Festival.
showed up.
Ah, there we go. And there you can see I'm portraying the fourth Doctor with the 11th Doctor's sonic screwdriver there.
You need a better scarf.
I know. I couldn't find any something
Yeah,
like what
'cause it
Tom.
needs to be longer than that.
Yeah, I
Way
wasn't
long.
like I said, I was not able to find anything long enough at the nearby stores, to do that there. Sadly, let alone anyone with multicolors like Baker's.
Yeah, that was definitely a unique scarf.
Yeah, it was a long one as well. It's like I would be surprised if he didn't. I mean, he must have tripped on thousands of times when he tried to walk during filming that series there.
You can order these scarves online. You can find people that make replicas of the Baker scarf, and
You know what's
definitely the
kind of
length
funny.
necessary.
You know what's kind of funny? Each Doctor has its own little thing that comes along with it. For Baker, it was the scarf. For Matt Smith, it was his bow tie. For I think it was for the second Doctor, it was that little flute recorder that he had, and of course
Yeah.
it was also the hat that William Hartnell had on his head a lot of times there. And I remember there was this one beginning episode where these two twin sisters are talking on the screen there, and they had almost every reference to every Doctor out there, including a sweater with all these question marks on it. I think that was for representing either the seventh Doctor or the fifth Doctor. If I understand, you have to correct me which on which there.
Or the Riddler from Batman.
Or but of course, it had to include the Baker's scarf and I guess the hat that McCoy wore, as well as the umbrella that he carried with him at times. Of course, the Night Doctor had that leather jacket he had on.
And then Colin Baker had those ridiculous suits.
I know. Well, actually, the ridiculous. Who came up with that?
I don't know.
I know, though,
Well,
but that was
The
way
BBC
out of.
probably did, considering that they did try to. It was initially started for kids, and it was noticed that a lot of adults were starting to enjoy it, but they did sort of, for a while, have that emphasis on keeping it goofy for the kids.
Yeah, I see. Which is interesting. You should bring that up because I remember the lady. What's her name? Mary Whitehouse. I guess she was sort of I forgot what she did, but she was called up by Pink Floyd in one of their songs around '77 She raised a ruckus about the Doctor Who series around that time because, saying that it was too violent for the kids to watch and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, you look at some of the shit that's been going on in these horror movies there. So who's she to talk?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, horror is life. There's lots of horror out there. There are people out there who enjoy it. So, bottom line, they win, she loses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the music. There was a thing called the Night at the Proms. I guess it was a Royal Albert Hall where they performed music that was featured in various Doctor Who episodes, along with some of the scenes. I know the Daleks made an appearance. Matt Smith, Jenna Coleman made an appearance on it as well. In fact, there was a thing called a Muppets at the O2 Arena. It was a kids program, and I guess one of the segments for Pigs in Space, featured, of course, the sound of the TARDIS landing, and of course, either Peter Davidson and David Tennant would come out as the Doctor and said, "Hold up there, space swine. This planet and the people along with it are protected by me. I am the Doctor." I remember there's video clips of that on YouTube there. And of course, we cannot forget the Doctor Who merchandise. At one of the places we lived at, there we had a Doctor Who shower curtain, a Doctor Who boots, shirts, jackets, all ties with, of course, the police box as well. And mostly these are sold at places like Hot Topic and Spencer for Gifts, I should add.
Yeah, those places will show stuff like, or do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, they do it, along with lots of anime, of course. So that shows you right there that here in the States is in kind of a huge cult status along with Star Wars. And if it's to say that there's not much Star Trek at these shopping places that I mentioned there, oddly enough.
Yeah, it used to be, but not anymore.
I know. And of course, the cosplayers out there, there's a lot of people cosplaying almost every doctor out there at every Comic Con as well. A couple of them dressed up as Daleks. I know there was a couple in England where a couple of people were hosting this Dalek discussion where all these people in these Dalek, if you could call them out.
It's Dalek.
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 Okay, thank you. Okay, I always get that name mixed up a lot. And how was that? How would you figure a battle between the Daleks and the Galactic Empire would prevail? Because both are very powerful, from what I understand. We know how
I think
powerful.
the Daleks might win. But
I
just
would-
talking
I
about
would-
the cosplay, I just want to quickly add that there have been
Yes.
some very commendable people that have been able to construct full-size Dalek robots and
Yes.
control them from the inside, and these things are fucking badass.
I've seen them. There was this one thing I saw on YouTube. There was a Dalek, cruising around the street, ordering people to stay home during the pandemic lockdown and shit like that. So, and I know there was a couple of politicians who were made up with their face on place of a Dalek on British comics, like they do with here in the States with political cartoons. There a couple of times there. And,
Yeah, you just see those things running around going, "Exterminate! Exterminate!"
That's the thing, though. People think that they're a joke, but they can be scary as hell if they're written
Oh, yeah.
properly.
Yeah, you got to keep that in mind. These things can do a lot of damage.
And not only that, when people know what's inside the Dalek, robot,
we've
that
seen
the
them, yes.
organic form that's in there, there could be more horror that's added to it. But like, they're not just these tin boxes that are going around shooting people. They're doing things to them. They're capable, and they've chosen that form, but they're deadly. So yeah, there's a lot of ridicule that's added to the Daleks, but I believe that when they've been written right, they could be downright horrific.
Oh yeah, Yeah, like I said, we would love to see either a comic book or a movie, up against the Galactic Empire and the because both are equally the same. Who's going to be the bigger prevail over it? Who's going to be the bigger empire, the Daleks or Palpatine's team? Yeah,
I would vote for the Daleks.
yeah. I know Dave agrees
Well,
as well.
that's no. I see. I thought no. I didn't realize that you were referring now to Star Wars.
Yes.
That would be a more difficult one to decide, especially when Palpatine does have access to force-sensitive individuals,
Yeah.
and does utilize them for, seeking out Jedi and stuff. So these things being biological are potentially influenced by the Force, and they're still mortal. So that's an interesting thing. But the thing with the Daleks is that they've got numbers that they can sacrifice in huge amount to just win through attrition. And I mean, you saw that during the Time War with what's the home planet of the Time Lords?
Gallifrey.
Gallifrey.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You saw that with Gallifrey. They were just pounding that shit. That city was just like the main city was just about to fall and stuff.
Yeah.
And like the Daleks just kept coming. And yeah, they were taking heavy losses, but they have that ability sort of to reproduce at such a high rate that they can provide that overwhelming odd that I guess you might be able to compare to with the Borg.
Very close to the Borg.
Where they don't
definitely.
stop. Like, yeah, they'll just keep putting out numbers. They're made in such a way that they can deal with that loss and continue to push out until they overwhelm their opponent. So yeah, that it would be a challenging. I can't make a decision, to be honest.
I'm going to put up Gallifrey right now on the screen here, what it looks like. It's a very orangey planet there. And I see it right now. I'm going to edit in a couple of minutes there to give the people what it looks like there. There we go. Got it right here. All right. So, let me continue with those. So, you think we'll see a round of soundtrack music to various episodes of Doctor Who like they do with Star Wars and everything else?
It would be great. I hope they do it.
Yeah, because
You can get Doctor Who soundtrack.
Yeah, I know. Right on YouTube, they have featured all the music from various episodes with quality.
Yeah, but the BBC sells this on CD, so you can buy it.
Ah, nice. So far, as I was mentioning that, you're going to hear. There's one episode I want to check out so bad. It's the one with called "The Return of Doctor Mysterio," featuring the Ghost. That I guess it's the sort of a super vigilante, if I understand. It takes place in the States there. And
I've been critical of some of the episodes that have popped up in the States. It's I don't know. They can't write Americans.
Yeah.
Or American culture.
Yeah, it's true.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's such large differences between American culture and British culture that the writers for either American or British are bad at writing the other side.
I don't know. I don't think that's always the case. I do think that sometimes American writers know British culture and they can write it well. And I think the opposite is true. I think that there's some British that, like, for example, Ritchie. What's his name? The guy who married Madonna.
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. I mean, he made movies that, yes, were very British,
Yes.
but they were very much picked up and sort of appreciated, I guess, by American audiences because of the relation that they could make to the characters and to the story. So, and that's just one example. I do believe that it is definitely possible. And
well, yeah, certainly it's possible, but as a rule,
I'm not saying it's prevalent.
Yeah, that was my point.
Especially
as a rule,
in TV.
It's especially TV.
Yeah, like maybe a movie where somebody spent like 5 years on the script and stuff and the research, but yeah, on a TV show that needs to be produced, in less than a month and they're rushed, and yeah, I can totally agree that it's going to be very evident. And you've seen that with American shows portraying, say, I don't know, Middle Eastern culture or Asian
Right.
culture, but you've seen that with those cultures portraying American culture. It's just, let's just put something out that we see in the movies. So obviously to some people, Americans are all like Rambo type, McDonald's eating type, people. And, according to some Americans, all Arabs are, like stealing oil and fucking terrorists and whatever.
Blowing up things.
So yeah, I can associate that with with just cheap writers, really.
Yeah. Writers that are unwilling to do the research or just simply think they do it.
Well, compare that to say NCIS or what are those other shows that claim to be Law and Order?
Yeah.
And all these shows that are supposedly about the
CSI.
law and stuff. Yeah, CSI.
Yes.
It's all
CSI
a joke.
Miami. Yes, definitely, especially
It's
Miami.
all a joke. It's all a joke. They don't have the first clue about the law, about investigational procedure, about protocols, about even just the simplest fact about what a crime scene might be, how it might be handled, or what it might look like.
Yeah.
And that ignorance is clearly portrayed on the screen and in the story content.
Yeah, almost all those crime shows are like that.
Yeah, I know.
Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
Well, they need to wrap it up in a half hour, to make sure that they put a nice clean bow on everything, because American culture, as always, does love a happy ending at the end of a show. So you got to make sure you wrap it up all nice. You can't, leave it in the mind of the viewer that, oh, maybe humanity is fucked up and I should think about my conduct because it relates to this episode. But no, personal responsibility out the window.
Yeah. Let me ask this one question regarding CSI, and this one we're going with CSI Miami. Here's my question: does every building, whether it's a police station or a courthouse, have to have open windows?
Yeah, apparently they don't have air conditioning.
No, it's not about. I'm not meant air conditioning, open window, but there's usually we see a courtroom. It's usually in a closed space. In the courtroom they have in the CSI Miami, it's like you could look right through the window and see this court procedure going on. It's like it's a whole glass windowed area, if you notice.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that boggles me. It's like, does this every police station have this space age technology? When some of the technologies we have in real police stations are not even close to that. One of those things you make it go, as Arsenio Hall would have said back in the day. Yeah. So, let's see. So, do we have anything else to add, gentlemen, on this particular subject here? And
we could probably go on for hours, but it's probably time to start semi-wrapping it up anyway.
Well, we've covered a lot of different aspects. We can always revisit, maybe based on what comments are said in the comment area. Myself.
The chat here.
No, I mean, like, once this video is posted,
yep,
there's a spot underneath for comments.
Yes,
and people put comments in regards to their thoughts on the episode and maybe some of the topics that either we missed or didn't cover too much in detail.
Yes,
we did try to cover the different doctors, although not much in detail in regards to what made them special or what they did. We covered more of the actors. We covered a little bit on the technology, whether it be the sonic screwdriver or the TARDIS, which we could go into detail in regards to what is explained in the show as to how technology applies to them. And we can also discuss it a little bit like we did today, where actual physics explains that, yes, certain aspects of this is possible.
Yeah.
We've discussed timelines and the mistakes that the BBC is doing right now with their prized possession that they want to destroy.
Yeah.
And we've covered quite a lot.
What would be your suggestion to the BBC to get Doctor Who back on its feet again? Get rid of the showrunner. Write better storylines and stop with the political agendas that they're pushing towards everyone.
Yes, it's the politics and the diversity which is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
That's hands down the biggest problem.
Yeah.
There's no need to insert any current day political problems in the show when in previous shows they were talking about problems from the past, problems that were resolved long, long ago. But interesting to see a character that travels time in that sort of situation, trying to not mess up the timeline, but still interact with the people there.
Because
The
there's
political
there's
Right.
absolutely nothing wrong with the female doctor, but she doesn't have to be a female doctor.
Yeah.
No, I will rephrase it at this. There's no problem with a female Time Lord because they
Oh.
exist.
Yes.
The
Right.
Doctor, the one that we still don't know his full name, which I think we deserve to know,
Yes.
he is a he and continues to regenerate as a he. There's no need to there's no need to switch genders. They only switched genders just to switch genders. It had nothing to do with progressing the storyline or explaining anything to do with Time Lords or regeneration in a second phase. Nothing. It was just because they wanted to push an agenda.
Yeah.
So essentially all that is nullified, and again, they can say whatever they want until Doctor Who goes back to what it was. To me, Doctor Who died on Trenzalore. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But also keep in mind that, but then I remember reading about this. You never know what you're going to regenerate. There was an episode with Capaldi and Coleman there, where doctor shoots a sort of a general, which was a white British male, bald, and it regenerates into a black female. So I guess the rule is that you never know what you're going to regenerate into. But they're going to use that.
Well, no, I would say yes, you should. Because again, look at what we got until we got
the master.
until we got Whittaker. Is that we got white males?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's who Doctor Who is.
Yeah, and
That is what the population of England is: white males.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that there weren't black there weren't black Time Lords or female Time Lords. No, there's a lot of diversity amongst the Time Lords.
Yes.
But the Doctor, the one who chose to take the name the Doctor, the one who chose to go to Earth and make his TARDIS look like a police box, he looks like a white male.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. People can hate it, but that's who the Doctor is.
Yeah.
Always has been, always will be.
That's true.
Yeah, you can tell people that yes, he's a white male, but he resembles a white male because he's actually an alien.
Yeah. That's true. I will say this one thing about Whittaker's Doctor. I think she would look better with the black trench coat and black boots and sort of whether blue jeans or kind of like regular long sleeve women's top, other than the outfit that she is currently wearing. Because I don't know, that outfit just doesn't cut it with me. And also, you got to give it up to the Doctor for being one snazzy dresser when you think about it, especially John Pertwee and Matt Smith.
Well, there's a certain level of confidence in being able to walk around looking like that and expecting, and somehow not getting, a lot of attention on you, despite the fact that you're literally trying to hide amongst humans as a Time Lord.
Yes. Yeah. I remember, I got to tell you this, the Dr. Earl name came up. I was explaining it to the Super Ugly Show and Arknolia as well. That's how I got the Dr. Earl name. I should probably let you know. People in the past at the club I used to go to during the 1990s used to call me Doctor Who because of the hair and, of course, the black trench coat there. So I just decided to call myself the name there that you see on the screen there for a while there. All right, so is there anything more to add before we close this chapter, guys?
No, I guess I'll just mention that tomorrow night we're back to music,
Yes.
and we're covering the 40s generally.
Yes.
And I'm hoping Dave will show up then. I assume you know something about the 40s.
Yeah. 1930s,
Uh,
40s.
that a little bit of jazz.
Big band mainly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's some big band. To me, yeah. I mean, I'm very limited with my knowledge of, pre-war or
Yeah.
the war type
I
music
wasn't
stuff.
even around then.
But I like it. I like it. I like.
Yeah.
I do like that big band jazzy type music.
Yeah, there's good
Uh,
stuff there.
But there's other jazz during that time as well. Like nice slow, jazz that you can dance to.
Yeah,
There's.
and
I think there
got-
was. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you have the crooners and the female artists.
Yeah.
who were
Ella,
big.
Ella Fitzgerald was one of them.
There was blues as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
I love blues.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I would definitely watch.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of content I can provide due to my limited knowledge of that particular area, because my knowledge starts really more in the 50s, rockabilly, rock and roll.
well, good, because you do know we're doing an exploration of history, so we will get to that right after the 40s.
Good.
Definitely. Yeah.
I look forward to that.
And a
But,
plus,
uh,
and
Yeah,
plus,
doo-wop, blue-eyed soul, like that's the 50s is where it begins for me with my love of music in regards to modern day music. The other day you guys were doing a show on classical music, and to
Yeah.
me baroque music, depends on how you want to pronounce it,
Yeah.
And a guy-
is my personal favorite style of classical music, but not that I'm adverse to any other style, although contemporary is not really my favorite.